What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, January 14th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:26 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So the U.S. is withdrawing personnel from major military bases across the Middle East as a precaution amid escalating tensions in the region, a U.S. official said, and this was reported by Reuters. So obviously, we're pulling out our forces and personnel and equipment from bases because we're planning to strike Iran, and we don't want our military equipment getting hit by Iranian missiles in a retaliation. So this is absolutely huge news, and it means that a strike on Iran is imminent, and I'm hearing potentially as soon as tonight or tomorrow. And Iran warned regional countries it will strike U.S. bases in the region if it is attacked by Washington. Countries warned included Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. This was reported by Reuters as well. So Iran putting out a warning to countries in the region, the major powers, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, that they will strike American bases on their soil, okay? And the U.S. State Department is now urging personnel and U.S. citizens to limit non-essential travel to any military installations in the Middle East. And we're hearing that some personnel have been advised to leave the U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar by this evening, 3 diplomats told Reuters. Okay, so by this evening, they're advising some personnel to leave Al Udeid. If you remember, in the first strike on Iran by the U.S., Iran retaliated by launching missiles at the Al Udeid Air Base. I believe they launched 2 missiles, and one of them missed the base. One of them was shot down. But clearly, Iran has the capability of striking Qatar and Al Udeid. And 2 European officials said U.S. military intervention appears likely, with one saying it could come in the next 24 hours. That was reported by Reuters. Okay. And apparently Trump has been receiving updated lists of options for action in Iran since last week. This was reported by CNN. CNN also reported that a source familiar with the talks with Iran said that the president is almost certainly going to act. Okay, so it looks like the talks have completely collapsed. And yesterday, Trump said that basically the talks have been called off and that help is on the way. Okay. And earlier this afternoon, we had a presidential doomsday plane land in Offutt Air Base in Omaha, Nebraska. And the doomsday planes are for the president to command the entire U.S. military in the event of some kind of catastrophic situation. He can command the entire nuclear arsenal from the air. So if one of these planes flies to Stratcom headquarters, which is in Offutt Air Base, that's basically like the brain of the U.S. military. That's where Bush went after 9/11 with all his top military advisors. That's pretty serious. That means they want one on standby if something happens. Also, we have a nuke sniffer plane up in the air right now that just took off from Stratcom headquarters. It's currently flying over the Colorado Rockies. And here you can see a mass exodus of U.S. aerial refuelers, KC-135 Stratotankers, leaving Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. This was about 30 minutes ago. So this is probably part of that evacuation of personnel and equipment so they don't get hit by Iranian missiles. So if they're evacuating now, that means that the strike could happen as soon as tonight or tomorrow or at the latest by this weekend. It's not going to be much longer. And right now we have also 2 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. They just were dispatched from Patuxent River Air Base and from Offutt Air Base, and they're currently over massive bodies of water communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines, one in the Gulf of America, one in the Atlantic. So when these planes are flying over water like that, it means that they're communicating with the Ohio-class subs. Okay, so for 2 of them to suddenly be deployed or dispatched at the same time means something's about to go down. Also, we have 2 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne over Louisiana. So very, very serious situation, guys. This is escalating very rapidly. And sources told CNN that Trump now feels he has to act against Iran after publicly setting a red line over Iran's harsh crackdown on protesters. And we're hearing that a U.S. Ohio-class submarine armed with Tomahawk missiles is reportedly operating in the Middle East. So an Ohio-class sub with Tomahawk missiles, they can carry 154 Tomahawk missiles. Okay, and they could potentially even have tactical nukes on them. And a recent U.S. intel reporting indicated that Iran is preparing options to target American bases in the Middle East, including those in Iraq and Syria, if Trump carries out military strikes, 2 sources told CNN. And Saudi Arabia informed Iran directly that it will not be part of any military action taken against it, and that its territory and airspace will not be used for that purpose, a source close to the Saudi military told AFP. So Saudi Arabia telling Iran, look, we're not a part of this, so don't strike us because we're not involved. And the commander of Iran's IRGC says that the IRGC is at peak readiness and will deliver a decisive response to any miscalculation by the enemy. He said that today, and we know that Iran has put their military on high alert, and the IRGC, which is part of the Iranian military, has been on high alert for the past week. And the Indian embassy in Iran is calling on Indian citizens to leave the country immediately. And the Jerusalem Post and Israeli 24 News is reporting that a series of foreign sources say that everything that needs to be positioned is being positioned where it needs to be. And everyone's working assumption is that a U.S. attack is a very imminent event. Okay, so 2 Israeli sources saying that everything that needs to be positioned is being moved into position and that a strike is very imminent. And dozens of ships bound for Iran have dropped anchor in open waters and are holding position instead of entering Iranian ports. This was reported by Reuters today. And Iran entered a 7th day of near-total telecommunications blackout with disruptions surpassing 144 hours and ranking among the longest on record. Okay, so they completely cut the internet off, and we're hearing that they're jamming Starlink. And martial law conditions are now in place in Iran, so there is a full-fledged martial law. This was reported by Iran International. And obviously, we're not going to be getting as many videos from the streets of Iran anymore because of the telecommunications blackout. So the first couple of days, we were seeing videos of the protests, but now those videos have dried up. And so Iran is obviously trying to hide what's going on. They don't want the world to see. And they've been shooting protesters in the head. I saw videos of just bodies in the streets with bullet wounds in the head. You know, they have snipers up on the roofs in the streets, and they're just killing random protesters. It's really sick. And Austrian Airlines has canceled its evening flight from Vienna to Tel Aviv today. Also, Lufthansa has told employees to prepare to leave Israel immediately and has canceled all flights starting this evening. Okay, so it looks like potentially they're concerned that Iran is going to lash out and strike Israel. And transport trucks carrying the Israeli Iron Dome system were spotted on the move in Israel. And the IDF spokesperson, that's the Israeli Defense Forces, says the Israeli military is closely monitoring developments, with the Israeli Chief of Staff holding ongoing situation assessments and ordering increased defensive readiness across all units. And as of right now, there has been no change to civil defense guidelines. The Chief of Staff has ordered strengthened defense readiness across all formations. This was reported by the IDF spokesperson, okay? And Trump has pushed Elon Musk to bolster Starlink connectivity in Iran. This was reported by CNN. And we're hearing reports that 5 Iranian banks are on the brink of collapse, including the Bank of Sabah, which is one of Iran's 3 largest banks and the primary bank for the IRGC and the Iranian military. So it's not looking good for Iran at this time. And Sweden's prime minister said Swedish armed forces will be deployed to Greenland at the request of Denmark. Here we have a tweet from Ulf Kristersson. He said, several officers from the Swedish armed forces are arriving in Greenland today. They are part of a group from several allied countries. Together they will prepare for upcoming elements within the framework of the Danish exercise Operation Arctic Endurance. It is at Denmark's request that Sweden is sending personnel from the armed forces. Okay, so Denmark actually requested this. We're also hearing that Germany is sending a small team to Greenland as soon as this week. Apparently, the effort was coordinated directly with Denmark and not within the framework of NATO. So these countries are working outside of NATO. These are just the Scandinavian Nordic countries that are deploying forces now to Greenland. And Norway's defense minister, Tor Sandvik, says Norway will send military personnel to Greenland to map out next steps for allied cooperation. And Denmark has begun sending reinforcements to Greenland, including equipment and an advance command to prepare logistics for larger forces. Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen says Denmark is moving towards a more permanent, larger presence with allies. Wow. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on. Actually, I will be back later on tonight to monitor the situation with Iran. It could happen tonight. So probably around 10 p.m. Eastern time, I will be live. And until then, make sure you download my app for free in the Google Play Store. The link is down below in the description. It lets me send updates to your phone directly when there's breaking news, so you don't have to wait for my YouTube updates. And it also notifies you when I post updates. But if there's any kind of serious emergency, I can send out notifications to your phone, and you're going to get like a siren on your phone, and you can set the level that the siren activates. So I have like an alert level: black, red, orange, yellow, and green. So you can set it to the black level if you want your phone to alert you when something serious is happening. That's what I usually recommend people do, either black or red. But also you can follow me on Twitter. I post updates there regularly throughout the day. My Twitter is at NYPrepper1, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below. I also have a Patreon. You can sign up to my Patreon and get all these updates without advertisements. Plus, you can direct message me. And also, I have my 24/7 live stream running right now, so you can tune into that and get updates throughout the rest of the evening in my absence. My wonderful moderators post updates throughout the day in the live stream, and that's live on YouTube 24/7. And I also have my home radio system connected so you can listen to the military forces around the world, the nuclear forces. You can listen to nuclear codes, etc. But until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is NYPrepper Supply. Guys, NYPrepper Supply is doing a massive sale on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to use my link. It's in the description below this video. It's preparewithNYPrepper.com. So they're selling their 3-month emergency food kit at 30% off. Plus, they're going to throw in an additional month of food. So that's 4 months of food. And the normal price would be $944. And they're selling it at just under $700 for 4 months of food. And this food has a 25-year shelf life. And it's all packed into rugged, watertight buckets that don't take up a lot of space in your home. And the food is obviously nutritious, which is very important for surviving any kind of SHTF situation. You can also use this food for camping and traveling. But use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get a free month of emergency food with your 3-month emergency food kit from NYPrepper Supply, all at 30% off, just $700 for 4 months of food. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get the deal, and the link is in the description below this video.